Formerly suicidal Redditors, what's something that kept you alive a little while longer and helped you to get through the dark times in your lives? Ending of One Piece. Deciding never to care what my mother thought about anything. To clarify, my mother is an obsessive blame fixer. Every occurrence, even things that don't rationally have any blame to be assigned, has to be someone's fault. That someone has to be someone other than her. That takes the place, usually, of fixing the situation. After my parents got divorced and my father didn't even try to get custody or visitation, in fact I didn't even hear from him until 6 months after the divorce, I was at fault for the divorce, our new living situation, anything that was done, wasn't done, or happened around the house, ad infinitum. My father was uninterested in taking me in, and his new girlfriend was a physically abusive, racist monster of a person. Of course, reaching 18, getting a job, moving away were options, but when you're 14, over 1,000 days of constant criticism, blame, screaming, and insults seems like an impossible distance. Eventually, as Dr. Banner said, I got low. I didn't see a way out. I started having suicidal thoughts, spent a number of evenings sobbing with a knife at my wrist. Let my anger get me into more than a few fights that could have gotten me killed, when there really wasn't anything worth hurting someone or getting hurt involved. The thing that saved me was realizing that she didn't have the power to make me believe all the things she said about me. I did. So I stopped giving her that power. I realized that something in her past made her have a need to shift any potential blame for anything away from herself, that it was probably something terrible, and that I can't fix it for her. I can only choose not to let it harm me. That's the best advice I can give anyone. Don't give anyone else the power to make you less than you are. You are, and you can become, so much more than what they can see. A girl who really cared. She made me realize the hurt I would bring her if I went through with it. My kitty. I had tied a noose, it was around my neck. I tied it to the stair rail. I was sitting there, distraught. She came up, began to meow like I had never heard before, and started rubbing me and purring. And she doesn't do that. I knew no one would find me for at least 3 days. And I couldn't leave her there, with me dead and rotting, with no food and no me. It made me think, and then realize that dying was selfish. And I'm not selfish. I still have times where my brain wants me to do stupid things, but then I just go hug my kitty. Art/drawing/painting gave me reason to live every day. I'm also trying to do a career in graphic design, which I absolutely love. I've grown so much as a person last 3 to 4 years than rest 18 years before. I want to continue to grow. I want to see my mom proud to see me be the amazing kid she parented and raised, sacrificing so many things for me. I have few things to do in life. After that I might kill myself. I just think about how much stuff I'll miss out on. Like all of the fun family gatherings, or getting married someday, etc. That's really what kept me going. Survived 100% of the bad days, so far. Not really past it, but I thought being productive would make me happier. For the past 4 months I've been writing more, working out more, taking care of myself more. I picked up ground school training to get my PPA again. I've made significant progress in my Japanese. I've been talking with my friends. I keep everything clean and tidy. I've not one missed assignment for school. I'm lined up to get a 100% scholarship. Everything is going right. Success is inevitable. Yet I still don't want to be here. I just feel the effort of going through life isn't worth it. It's not fun nor entertaining to be alive. Not really suicidal, but the thought has crossed my mind, as it probably has for most people. I think my reasoning is the same as a lot of others. I don't want to risk going to hell if there's an afterlife. In the grand scheme of things, 80 or so years of suffering is nothing compared to eternity, so the risk isn't worth the reward. I grew up in a conservative Christian family. The thought eternal damnation in the fiery pits of hell did it. I'm not religious anymore, but I'm still not going to risk it. I was in a dorm and didn't want to ruin their experience of being in a dorm. I feel like it's just too much effort and not really worth it. No cap. When I failed the attempt, I saw my mom cried, and kept on asking questions like, where did I go wrong? And why? Wholly blaming herself because I'm emotionally unstable. Seeing someone else do it. Not like in the room, but wondered why my friend didn't text me on my birthday. Life's not the same for the people around you when that happens, and it's never the same again. I would tell myself that Mr. Rogers loves me just the way I am, and that he thinks I make the world a better place just by being me. I'm still in this place, but thinking I could never hug my mom keeps me from doing it. Whenever I'm at the edge, I would just hug her and cry. She already had an awful childhood, a not so good family. I can't be another burden for her to think that she's a failure as a parent too. Very lucky choice of friends actually. I was and I am very, extremely lucky. I didn't want to die a virgin, that was the only thing I didn't want to not do. I lost my virginity and was gonna commit suicide the next day, but the guy then asked me out and I just thought to myself that maybe it wasn't losing my virginity that I wanted, but to feel love, and he kept me going even when things got tough. Unfortunately, we broke up 4 months later. I first pictured my mom upset, but that wasn't good enough. Then I pictured myself in photographs that people could see forever, and that wasn't good enough. And then I had a little cousin who was younger than me. I pictured him looking at those photographs and the rest having to explain to him why I wasn't there. I didn't want that black spot on such a young, innocent soul. And that's when I decided to live. My daughter is the absolute only reason I still exist. But that one reason is more powerful than the suffocating piles of excrement that try to drown me every day. Spite still keeps me going. At first, it was the desire to see my family one last time, since we were separated due to divorce. That got me through to Christmas of my sophomore year, when I finally got to see and talk to them since I'd had internet and phone privileges revoked by my dad. After that, it was the realization that it wasn't going to be long before my granddad died of prostate cancer. The very thought of me going before my granddad and him swiftly following was enough to break me, and I told myself I had to wait until after he died. The agony of losing his first grandchild would have put him into an even earlier grave. I wanted to be there through to the end, and I had a crisis of character at the time because I tend to characterize myself as a family nurturer or protector. Committing suicide would have been an absolute antithesis to who I thought I was, and being around my family helped me realize that again. After his death the following spring, I won't say the urge ever fully went away, but his death helped me realize that really I had a lot more to live for than I had thought, but I would have to leave my dad to be close to the things I held dear and needed to be happy. I have bad days or weeks still, but I've gained a new perspective since the really dark time and am overall in a better environment for my mental health. Currently suicidal, just my best friend. I know they'd be devastated. It's getting harder and harder though. Having been suicidal for 10+ years, I've held on to a variety of things: my friends, my family, my love for making music, and seeing how that evolves throughout my life. When it's been at its worst, I've held on to the promise that as long as my parents are alive I won't kill myself, and when they pass I will then allow it if I choose to do so. However, after some time I've realized that I want to stay alive for me. Life really sucks at times and it's difficult to push through, but I think about the pride I will feel at the end of my life when I knew I could have killed myself any day but chose to have a cup of coffee instead. That makes me want to ride it out no matter what. My dog. The thought of not being there for him or leaving him lonely/confused just hurt too much. Also, he gave me a reason to get out of bed every day and a reason to get out for a walk, which seriously helped. That if I ended up dying, my puppy would never understand what happened and where I went. Probably not what you're looking for, but I didn't want my family to have to deal with it. My grandparents were alive and it may have killed them. I decided to wait until some of the older members had passed. And then things got better. It hasn't been a consideration in 15 years. Honestly, it's usually been something small. I didn't want to leave my late cat. I didn't want my mom to have to explain it to my grandfather before he died, dementia. Or for him to be left alone with my mom, she's mentally unstable. My son is still breastfeeding and I didn't have enough milk to properly transition him to formula and he hated formula. I found an issue with my will that wouldn't prevent my mom from having access to my son and everything is shut down due to COVID. For a while I didn't have life insurance and didn't want to leave my fiancé broke. It's always something really small, but it gets me by just long enough to get through the current dark time.